know this. You feel angry, you feel, maybe your teeth clench, your muscles clench, your heart rate increases, you maybe, get a bit red, sweaty. Conversely, when the mind relaxes, you find the body relaxes, the breathing quietens, the heart rate slows down. I think it's very clear the two are intimately connected, yes.
One thing I want to ask you is regarding awareness and also, how to become more conscious in that regard. Do you think that that's something that you can teach someone else to become, or is that something that has to come from within the individual, the strive or the need to kind of achieve that or to aspire to that?
I think you can teach it insofar as you can show people the way. You can't actually do it for them. I think you can help people understand how their current mode of consciousness is not serving them. It may be creating unnecessary distress, unnecessary anxiety. You can show them what is happening, and I think you can give them, indications. If you try doing this, if you practice, looking at things in a different way, or if you practice like what we're talking about, just coming back to being in the moment with the breath or something, then you can give them the tools. But in the end, you can't do anything for them. We have to. Each of us is on our own journey, and we're learning things, and we're opening up in our own way, in our own time, at our own rate.
Yes.
So I think what we can do is we can help others, we can facilitate them and show them things. But in the end, we have to put that into practice ourselves.
Because I'm asking that question in regards to, I'm thinking about the world, basically, all the problems that we're facing and so forth. And on one regard, I see that we're going down the drain in that sense, because I feel that many people are not becoming more conscious in that regard. They're diving into, all the escapes, as it were. But on the other hand, I also see that could be actually the solution in the end to that problem, because they might actually, because of the surroundings are being so harsh, or there's something, when there's not enough, when the world around them are unstable, so to speak, people might be more prone to, go into more metaphysical areas and begin to explore their own consciousness. So I'm seeing that in that darkness, if you will, there's a little bit of light. What do you think about that, Peter?
Yes, I think so. I think, that in that darkness there's so many forces pushing us. We talked about advertising, things like that. So many forces pushing us, wanting us to stay trapped. And yet, I think deep down, what we're talking about, everybody knows the truth deep down that, having even more things doesn't actually make us any happier. We see very wealthy people who are depressed, or they're anxious about the stock market, or they don't have a happy marriage. We see that just being wealthy, having lots of things, doesn't actually often make you any happier. Sometimes those people are less happy than a very simple person. So I think we're seeing that, and we need to almost recognize those truths more. So the more we can, in a sense, shine that truth into the world and say, there are ways of actually allowing the mind to settle down, become less anxious, that don't require you just taking pills or drugs or drinking alcohol, whatever, to feel better. That ability to feel better is there in ourselves. And I think we all, in a sense, know that. We don't know how to do it very often. We maybe never really tasted it, but we know that inner truth. And if we can appeal to that, and just on a wide level in society, just gently get this understanding out to more and more people, then I think people just say, yes, there's a truth here, let me just explore that. And I think that is what is happening in the world. It's just gradually more and more people are saying, yes, there is something here, there is something that's actually worth exploring, could be very valuable, that's in a very different direction from where our society would want us to go.
Yes.
And the good news is we feel better for it. That's what's so good. It isn't like we have to do this because it's, good for the world. If we
Sure.
start tuning into ourselves and we start feeling more at ease with the present, we're feeling more at ease. There's more joy in life. We feel better. And, I think we all want to have less worries. So it's learning that we can feel better not by doing something out there, but just by letting go inside of the things we're holding on to tightly that keep us out of ourselves.
And, I got to kind of pick up on that, what you mentioned there regarding, taking a pill or what have you. I see a huge danger here in regards to that people are there, or we, the human race, as it were, we're advancing our escapes, as it were. The drugs that people are taking, it's more now than ever before. People are basically sedating themselves in order to escape on one level or another, in order to kind of get through their day, or they're simply so depressed that they need some kind of serotonin reuptake inhibitor in order to prevent that from happening. And do you think that will potentially could go kind of overboard, or will that loop back in itself, and eventually people will even want to escape from that escape, if you will, and then finally perhaps look more deeply into the nature of consciousness?
Yes, I think. Well, if we're talking about the drugs, chemicals we take, whether it's serotonin uptake inhibitors or alcohol or anything like that, we're relying upon something external to modify our consciousness. And in just about every single case, I can't think of anything like this where there isn't some negative side effect. And when we start realizing the negative side effects, then maybe we can not go that direction. I mean, we know that the serotonin uptake inhibitors often create side effects of, people can sometimes be suicidal with those.
Yes.
They're meant to stop depression, but they can do the opposite. And long-term use, we're not clear what happens to the brain. We know, simple things like alcohol, the damage that does to the liver, what it does to our relationships. As we see the negative effects, that can be the motivation to stop doing it.
Yes.
But also I would say, we have to think of addiction in a much broader sense than just drugs. I mean, people, we talk about people who become relationship addicts. They just want, continually wanting a new relationship, a new love, because they get that new fix in their life, that new excitement for a short while. Or shopping addictions, going out and buying things because we feel better for a short while until we get the credit card bill. It's all the same process. It isn't just chemical addiction or chemical dependency. Let's call it dependency, not addiction. I mean, dependency is where the only way we know how to feel okay is by doing something, whether it's by having, a beer or going out and buying some new clothes or whatever it is. It's all the same basic underlying process that we think, if I just do something, change my environment, change my body chemistry, I will feel better. And we do feel better for a little while, and then it comes back. Until we do something else, and then it comes back. And
Yes.
we do something else. And that's the process we're trapped in. And that's why I think if we can learn how to just feel better in ourselves and realize that capacity is there in everybody. It's just waiting for us to open to it. Then we can step out of these dependent, addictive patterns in our life.
And I would say that this has very much to do with as you mentioned, brain chemistry in that sense, because, as you mentioned, shopping addiction, or even violence, or this obsessiveness in regards to relationship, that has to do with basically that, as far as I understood, that kind of releases the same chemicals in your brain. It gives the same kind of, it stimulates the same kind of pleasure centers of the brain, if you will. So it as you say, it basically is the same expression, but people, they achieve that state through different means. So it's just a matter of, the type you prefer to get to the same state, basically.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So do you think that, in regards to that if we can just change our attitude towards these things that will help to heal these types of addictions? That if we can change our perception that we're not gonna we don't need to take anything or to get anything to feel better. We just need to change our attitude and realize that we need to just go in reversal, I guess, of that. And instead of getting more, we need to take less, right?
Yes. I think this thing about it's a shift in attitude, a change in attitude is the fundamental thing here. Is the key thing, and realizing that I think what happens. You mentioned the feeling better, the brain chemistry. Is what tends to happen is let's come back to advertising. The advertising tells us we're missing something, we can't feel happy. And so we create this sense of discontent in ourselves. But that discontent is self-created. And then we go and buy the new clothes or whatever it is. And we feel better. But we feel better because we're no longer making ourselves discontent. I think this is really important. It isn't that the buying something has made us feel better. We were upsetting ourselves. We were actually creating our own discontent. And then we stop doing that, and the brain returns to a healthier state. So if we can recognize, this is where the shift in attitude comes in, it's like saying, to recognize I can feel okay as I am. That's the key thing, that there is this inner well-being we can just tune into. I can feel okay as I am in this moment.
So you're saying
I don't create the discontent.
Right.
I stay on that balanced level.
So you're saying that the action, in a way, that we're doing, whatever that might be, that works as the trigger that kind of changes our attitude, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So it's not really about what it is that you're getting. If you go out and shop something or buy something, for instance, you automatically, after that point, begin to just feel better, because really, if you think about it, the thing you've bought, that cannot, in that regard, change your attitude or your brain chemistry, if we think about it,
Right. We've changed, in a sense, what we've done is we've changed our attitude. We had an attitude of there is something missing, there's something lacking, and we don't feel good in that. We feel some discontent. Then we go and buy that thing, and we change our attitude. We say, I'm no longer missing that, I have it. So our attitude changes, and we feel okay again.
Yes.
So the question is, let's do that without having to go and spend money on something. Let's make that shift in attitude in the moment to realize I can feel okay without having to get this thing, buy this thing. That I don't need to take myself through this temporary, self-created discontent in order to come back to contentment.
Yes.
I think the fundamental question, to keep coming back to is, whatever's happening, however I am, can I feel okay with this, rather than falling into, I've got to make something happen to change it.
Mm. Yeah. So, I do want to get into a little bit here, talk about the global brain, if that's okay with you, Peter. But before we kind of move into that area, if you will, let's say for a person that are at the cusp here, if you will, of doing something, either starting to meditate or just try to become more aware of whatever it is they feel this urge. Is there anything you would want to say that potentially would help to carry that process along, or to make it more easier, or something like that, a tip or an advice, if you will?
Don't take it too seriously. It's always important. There is on my website a very short 3-minute meditation in the meditation section, which just is a very short introduction that people can take away and play with and practice with. Treat it as almost like as a fun inquiry into oneself, a fun investigation into how I can be more free in myself, like a journey of an inner adventure, an